Okay. Thank you everyone for coming today. We are absolutely delighted to have Bella Zhang here with us. Bella is currently completing her Master's in Industrial Engineering at U of T this year, and she's passionate about developing healthcare technologies that support older adults and their caregivers in Canada and beyond. She has a wealth of experience on research projects, including a MyTech's Accelerate project, innovating technology for reducing falls risks in the COVID-19 healthcare setting. She has a student research award to work on this project as part of her internship as an industrial engineer at the Toronto-based company called Healthcare Insurance Reciprocal of Canada. And in the Interactive Media Lab, Bella is a research assistant with her supervisor, Mark Chanel, who's joining us today, and carries out innovative research in human factors, user interaction, technologies for aging, advanced user interface design, healthcare ergonomics, social computing. She was managing 20 undergrad and grad students in a university startup company called Centivisor that creates serious games, i.e. not for entertainment, but really to help the older population, especially those living with dementia. And that's what we're going to hear more about today. So she's got other internships in her very extensive portfolio, including healthcare human factors engineering in Toronto, University Health Network, Hamilton Health Sciences, healthcare engineering, and she's TAing one of the experience design courses. She's also a certified project management professional with over 7 years of experience in human factors. So thank you so much, Bella, for joining us today, and we're really looking forward to your presentation. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much for the kind introduction. I will start sharing my screen. As we do not have a large audience today, feel free to jump in and ask questions as we go. I hope this could be more of a discussion rather than a monologue. Okay, I will share my screen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Start from the beginning. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for coming today. Today I will be presenting my master's thesis work where I designed and evaluated a researcher platform to automate development of customized cognitive games. I'm currently a master's student in industrial engineering. My professor, Mark Chanel, is here. We are from the industrial engineering department at University of Toronto. So this is a snapshot of our life. We are a very lively, multicultural, and multidisciplinary team. We are from different disciplines, such as human system design, psychology, social sciences, and computer science. We work together to create human-centered solutions for important problems in our society. We are one of the human factors and ergonomics lab in our department. Here are some nice pictures from the past before the pandemic. I hope we can do it again once we are back to school again. Here's a little bit about me. I did my undergrad in industrial engineering as well. I finished my PEY at Healthcare Human Factors. Now I'm finishing up my master's degree in industrial engineering. I will be defending my thesis on June 22nd, so about 2 weeks away from here, I will be graduating. My areas of expertise are in human factors and user experience. In the recent years, I have been more passionate about product management because I can see my work in human factors get translated into the product design. And also, I really enjoy working with people and managing teams. My mom is a nurse, so I have always been passionate about healthcare and to improve technologies to deliver better patient care. Here's this agenda. I will start with some background. As we have a diversity of audience here, I will talk about what is dementia, serious game, and then I will go into our Centivisor products, Brainchina, and end with online experiment builder which is a key concept in my thesis. As most of you probably know, dementia is a global crisis that's coming in the next few decades. The World Health Organization has estimated dementia population will triple by 2050. It is currently the 5th leading cause of death worldwide. It's a multifaceted syndrome that progressively affects a person's cognitive abilities, behaviors, and daily functioning. As you can see in the figure here, compared with people with normal aging, dementia patients' cognitive abilities decline much faster. And it is an irreversible process. To date, there is no cure. However, there are some possible interventions we can deliver to the patients to slow down the process. However, to allow those interventions to take place, routine cognitive testing is essential in assessing and monitoring those cognitive changes over time. Here is a list of use cases for cognitive assessment. In addition to early detection of dementia and timely treatment, cognitive assessment can be used to screen for delirium. We have conducted a study at Sunnybrook Hospital to use our cognitive games to assess the likelihood of delirium. Maybe if we have time, Mark can talk more about that. And then we can also use cognitive games to establish baseline cognition for hospital visits. In that case, we can use cognitive assessment to assess and evaluate the quality of patient care on a person's cognitive abilities. Now I want to introduce you to the concept of serious game. You may wonder why they are called serious games. So everyone has played some sort of games in your life. Games are fun, entertaining, rewarding. So the reason why we created serious game is because they have a special ability to engage people on an emotional, social, and cognitive level. So serious games are games created and used beyond entertainment purposes. They are used in training, rehabilitation, education, marketing. They are very good at making mundane and repetitive tasks more fun and rewarding. So in the recent decade, there has been an increasing interest in using serious games in healthcare. As you can see in the figure here, in the past decade, the publication on serious game in healthcare has dramatically increased. In my undergrad thesis, I have conducted a systematic review, and I created a design framework for generating serious game for dementia. So this framework is based on the methodology of human-centered design. Every aspect of serious game should consider a person with dementia at the center of the design goal. And in my paper, I have talked about different design recommendations with respect to each aspect of game design. If you're interested, you can check out my paper that is linked below. Now I want to introduce you to Synthesizer. So Synthesizer is a spin-off company from the Interactive Media Lab, the lab I'm currently in. We have worked together for over 5 years. No? Yes, Mark, is that correct?
It seems like forever, Bella.
That's true. Yeah, so we aim to create entertaining, user-centered, multifaceted, and rewarding technologies to bring health and joy to the elderly. So here are the 3 main products we have created so far: Brainchina, Forever Young, to Race With Me. So all these products are aimed to creating engaging experiences for the elderly, so that they can have rewarding experience in their daily life without or with their caregivers. Today, I will focus more on the Brainchina, which is a cognitive assessment tool. So Brainchina currently has 5 technique games, which is targeted acquisition game. Each game is designed to relate to a standard psychological task. Our primary objective is to create a validated system for monitoring cognitive functioning. And we want to make future cognitive assessment engaging, inexpensive, and accessible everywhere. So if we use series game for cognitive assessment, people can access it with a simple web link without a trained professional on the side. They can access from their own home, regardless where they are. So here is the list of the TechMe games we have created so far. As you can see, each game is linked to one specific cognitive function. In the next few slides, I will show you an example of how they may look like. So all the games have a desktop and mobile version. You can also access offline or online depending on the web's internet accessibility of your location. So here is an example of TechMe Quick. So in this game, we are assessing a person's cognitive speed. The target pops up, and the participant wants to hit more as soon as possible. If you hit more faster, you will receive a higher score. Okay, next slide. The second game is TechMe Only. In this game, it's a slightly modified version compared with the previous game. Now we have a distractor called, so the distractor is a mole with a head. If I see the mole with a head, I should avoid hitting it. If I hit it, I lose points. Okay, it appears again, I didn't hit it. So that's a way for me to inhibit my immediate response to that distractor. Okay, next, I want to show you TechMe again. This is a game that assesses a person's working memory. I want to hit the mole with wearing the t-shirt number similar to the same with the previous one. So 1, 2. So 2 is different from 1. I shouldn't hit it. 2, 1. I shouldn't hit it. 1, 3. No. 3, 3. Yes, I should hit this one because this mole has the same number with as a previous mole. So that's a modified version compared with the cognitive speed, and each game is highly correlated to the standard psychological tasks that have been validated against large size samples. Compared with conventional methods of cognitive testing, cognitive games have high ease of access, low cost, it's easy to customize and highly engaging. However, we haven't really used cognitive games in the clinical settings on a large scale. Why? Because we haven't been able to validate with large sample size yet. So it's required that we have to conduct many experiments and collect data to validate these games in order to use the games on a larger scale. Now I want to introduce you to the last important concept before I go into my researcher platform. So in cognitive science or other behavioral sciences, people use experiments to study and modify people's behaviors. So researchers use experiment builder to create online experiments, which is very similar to in-lab experiment. So they program the experiment procedures within the experiment builder so that, after the server assigns a link to the experiment, different participants can access the same experiment repeatedly and follow the same procedure to conduct the experiment the researcher has designed. And there are platforms available that you can use to recruit large samples. However, researchers may also decide to recruit based on social media or there are other venues they have access to. So there is an online host that stores the data, and then eventually all the experiment data will be sent to the researchers. So this experiment builder is a scalable researcher platform where they use an integrated system to conduct experiments repeatedly. So now I want to talk about Brainchina researcher dashboard. So as I have talked about before, we need game validation so that we can use our games in more settings and conduct more research studies and use our games for various purposes. So our strategy to validate our games is not only validate within our own team, but also leverage our collaborating researcher groups where we offer a customized games to them, and they collect data for their studies and share data with us, so we can also aggregate those data with our own internally collected data to improve our game mechanism. However, as we gain more researchers' interest, we reach a bottleneck because we do not have enough resources to accommodate all those customization demands and also versions of different projects. We have, as we are, small research lab, and we do not have many people working on the project full time. So we start encountering version control issues, limited stuffing, and communication challenges with different groups of researchers. The researchers complain they have to wait many days without knowing when they can receive a ready to implement version of games for their study. On our side, we are managing different versions, and we get confused about the requirements over time. It's just becoming more and more redundant. So we start to brainstorm different long-term solutions to this problem. As we have talked before, our Brain Tiger games is an intersection between serious game and cognitive assessment. We start thinking about using this online experiment builder as an infrastructure to create, customized game versions for researchers more efficiently, we can use those standard code in our database so that we can use them repeatedly rather than manually customize it every time. So we start this automation process by creating this platform so that the researchers can use this platform to customize their own games without having to communicate back and forth with our development team. Currently, there's no other experiment builders that targets a serious game for cognitive assessment. So it's a pretty novel researcher tool. All the other commercial cognitive games are manually customized, facilitated by their sales agent or product specialist. So our motivation for researcher platform is to allow us to accelerate data collection and establish validity for our games. And also we want to allow researchers to be more in control of creating, editing, and updating their customized games. Also, we want to allow them to collaborate with each other so they can have different account access and work with each other to finalize the version they would like to see in their research project. So my design approach is to use the human-centered design method. I'm not sure whether everyone here knows about human-centered design, but just to give you a recap, we start with understand stage where we conduct user research to understand our target users' needs and generate design requirements for our design. And then we go into the create stage where we go through iterations of prototyping and eventually implementing it in code so that we can have a medium to gather early feedback from our user. So evaluate is our way to engage with users and collect data to improve our design requirements and understand how well our design meets the user's needs. And then that data will feed in to understand, and then we can go through multiple iterations. It depends on the length of the project you are working on. Sometimes you may go through multiple cycles of this understand, create, evaluate. Sometimes you just go through it once, but that's the idea. It's an iterative process, and we want to start with the user and put them at the center. So here are the techniques I have used in my master thesis work. So to understand the researcher's need, I have conducted interviews and then generated functional analysis of what this researcher platform may embody as a first version of the product. And then I created personas based on the researcher characteristics. And then I envision what are possible user scenarios that the researchers may interact with this final product. And then I create information structure for this web design to visualize how I may categorize and organize all the contents within this platform. And then the next stage is create. So I go through the stages of low fidelity prototype, medium fidelity prototype, and then high fidelity prototype. For those who do not know, low fidelity prototype is a very quick, cheap way of creating visuals to gather feedback. So you may create sketches on the paper, and then you can ask your user, is this what you want? So that you can iterate very fast early on without investing too much and getting attached to your design. So the high fidelity prototype has more details and interactivity to it. You can technically conduct a usability testing and ask your users to interact with this prototype and gather feedback and improve based on the user insights. And then I conducted 2 rounds of evaluation of my high fidelity prototype. Based on the feedback I have received, I have updated my design. Now my design is already under development. So the first stage, understand, as I talked before, I have come up with different user groups, which I will talk more in the next slide. So we have 3 user groups: principal investigators, researchers with editing access, who may be the graduate student or senior students in the lab. They have more time and commitment to the project compared with research assistant who are just staying on the team temporarily. So you can allow research assistant to only view this game specification as well without any editing access. So here is a persona that I have created for the platform. And then in the create stage, here is some artifacts from my design process. So the first picture you can see is a low fidelity prototype I've created just to show the layout of each screen. It has very little details to it. And the bottom picture is a snapshot of my high fidelity prototype where all the figures are linked together, so you can actually interact with those different figures. So it's kind of like different screens that are linked together, but they're not functional. They are not fully developed in the software development. And then in the evaluation stage, for each evaluation with the participant, I go through the stage of pre-study questionnaire, prototype walkthrough, and then conclude with a post-study questionnaire. The first round of study was conducted in October 2020. I had 5 participants. The second round was more summative, and I did with 13 participants. so that I can gather more holistic feedback from different potential users. So the conclusion is the design was very successful. All the participants agree that the researcher platform add great value to the technique game. It's basically a scalable infrastructure for our customized games and allows efficient development in the long term. Also, the researcher had very high appreciation for the design effectiveness. I have improved the design based on the feedback I have received from the first round of testing. And as you can see in the rating here, it has increased from 4.2 to 4.92 in the second round, where 5 is excellent. So it's pretty high design effectiveness based on the questionnaire feedback we have received. And in terms of usability, we have included system usability scale in the post-study questionnaire. So the score has improved from 82.5 to 87.3, which is a very high score according to the SUS score norms. So anything above 80 is excellent according to the industry practice. So so for those who do not know, system usability scale is a simple 10-atom attitude Likert scale to give you an idea of the subjective assessment of the usability. So just to give you some idea of what I designed. So here is a screenshot of the project page where you may see in the platform. So in this page, you can see there are 2 projects, and you can create new projects simply by clicking that button. And then this is a page for general information in the project. So you can set up the privacy, you can manage your teams, and also you can set up the research location, project timeline. For the game design page, it's a very easy to follow questionnaire format. So you can simply put your preferences into the questionnaire without having to code or debug. So it's very easy to use and require no prior experience before you actually start using this platform. So our next step is to implement this design in software development. So I have been working with a software developer and implement all the design in software development, and we hope to release the product next year. And we also hope to evaluate the product, the functional product with end users once it's fully developed. And in the future, at the second version of this platform, we want to add more customization features to the platform, such as replacing with different graphics or giving researchers the ability to visualize the data in different ways. Yeah, but that hopefully will happen in the next 2 years. So here are some learnings I have gained from this whole project experience. I learned the value of interdisciplinary collaboration. I'm kind of the connecting point between cognitive science, psychologists, and computer science. I work with people with specialized expertise in different areas, and just by asking questions, collaborating with them, we can come up with innovative solutions to solve problems. And the second one is pivoting. At the very beginning of this Brain Tiger project, we only wanted to use a game for screening delirium. However, as we work with different psychologists, we see a lot of potential to use the games for different purposes. Now we are using the games for children and adults. So yeah, this project has expanded because of our collaboration with different different researchers. And I also learned the value of human-centered design because I have start using human-centered design methodology from the very start of this project. I was able to leverage user feedback in my design throughout the project experience, and it turns out to be a success, not just because I have great design skills, but because the users were there and giving me feedback and was able to truly solve their needs through my design. Okay, that's a quick presentation. I have finished my slides. I guess we can have Q&A.
Thank you so much, Bella. That was fascinating. Does anyone want to just unmute and ask any questions or
yeah, I'll start off with a request, Esme. I think, Bella, if you can turn off the slides, it'll help us to see a gallery view of people.
Okay.
Thanks.
Great. Super. I saw some people have joined us since the beginning too. So, Margot, are you unmuted because you want to ask something?
No, I thought I'd just participate in some way.
Okay, great. So I mean, maybe I'll kick us off because you said originally you started wanting to use this tool to distinguish between delirium and dementia, which is a huge positive if that happens as well. Can you speak a little bit to that part as well? And then now you've gone on and you're taking it all these other routes, but can you talk a little bit about that?
With Bella's permission, maybe I'll jump in on this.
Okay.
That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we've been working with Dr. Jacques Lee at, he used to be at Sunnybrook and now he's at the Schwartz-Riesman Institute, and he's an emergency physician with a geriatric focus, and he's very interested in delirium. So he wanted to develop a game. So we went through a bunch of different game ideas before settling on whack-a-mole, and then we developed the first whack-a-mole game for screening for delirium. And it seems quite good. So he's had some pretty good results. We had some publications on that. And then after that, as Bella said, we started working with Bruce Morton at Western University. He's a neuroscientist, and he specializes in developmental psychology and kids who are not developing typically, and the role of executive functions in that. So we started looking at executive functioning games because they're important in both the beginning and end of life. And then more recently, we've got into the idea of gamified psychometrics, which is where we can take any experimental paradigm and make it into a serious game. And that was the final 3 games that Bella showed in one of her slides were Tag Me Coda, Tag Me Tune, and Tag Me Mood, which can be used to assess things like verbal fluency and musical ability. So we see this as a very, very broad-based set of tools. And Bella's work has been critical in sort of, as she says, helping us to set up a basis for validation by collaboration with other researchers. Sorry, I stole your thunder, Bella, but that's a quick summary.
No, that's great.
Fascinating. Well, just as a tag on, so what kind of accuracy do you have with, say, the original one with dementia versus delirium?
Yeah, it's a good question. I don't think our algorithm is the best. We started off using a reaction time based algorithm, how quickly they could respond using a cognitive speed game. And then more recently, Dr. Lee's been looking at kind of a variability in reaction time measure. But our goal eventually is to kind of use AI and machine learning across a bunch of different games to get a more accurate measure. In this kind of screening, you're looking for about a kind of getting most of the delirium cases with maybe 20% of the cases. So you have a high sensitivity but a fairly low specificity, I guess is what they talk about in healthcare. Mm-hmm. And yeah, so we're also doing the same thing with St. Michael's Hospital, but there we're not using games. We're doing AI analysis of their administrative health records, and we're using an algorithm developed by Sharon Inouye and for administrative chart review, and then we're trying to predict those labels. And we've had a very high success there. I think up about 88% accuracy. And Sunnybrook Hospital is now talking about using our machine learning model there to predict delirium and to measure quality in their units. So the delirium thing is a whole separate thing, Esme, but it goes beyond the games we're doing here.
Oh, wow, fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And I must say the games are engaging. So part of the problem to get people to do cognitive testing in general is that it's boring as all get out and it goes on and on and on.
Yes.
So if you were, how long would a whole test bank take, basically, if you were doing a full workup? How long would it take with
Under an hour with the current games. They only take 2 or 3 minutes each. So and we have started working with an fMRI scanner. So at Western University, so we were looking at the brain activity while people are playing the games. We had about 10 people go through there, and then we had COVID. So so that's kind of a long-term thing, along with the AI process. We would like to eventually be able to identify lesions in the brain based on a profile of performance on the games. So you'd look for particular patterns of behavior and ability. But that's a long-term goal. Maybe it's a dream. I'm not sure if it's workable or not, but we certainly want to try it.
or at least to be able to narrow it down, think here kind of thing.
Maybe looking at different networks or something, connectivity problems.
Cool. Anyone else have some other comments? And I know there's some other people from your lab. Maybe you want to just chirp in or and share some of the directions you're also involved in. Would be great.
Well, maybe I'll quickly introduce Trevor Esme. He's from that company that Bella mentioned, HIROC, or the Health Insurance Reciprocal of Canada, and they're a sort of industry partner on the MyTax project, and we're working at North York General Hospital in their Seniors Health Center to evaluate. We're not actually using brain tag as an intervention, but we are using it as an outcome measure, along with To Race With Me exergaming equipment. And I guess North York General Hospital is a HIROC subscriber, and so Trevor very kindly brought them to the table for us.
Fantastic.
Anything you want to say, Trevor, about things in general? Trevor's a very wise guy, by the way.
No, not at all.
And then he became a nurse, and now he's a VP of Safety and Risk Management at HIROC.
Oh, well, thanks, Mark, but definitely not wise by any means.
He's a man with kids and dogs. That sounds pretty wise to me.
There you go. There you go. No, just congratulations, Bella. I think, again, to the panel here, also really important work that is that real application piece that speaks to patient safety and also general outcomes. So it's always challenging to action health outcome. And I think this is one of the most promising ways forward in that. And I think, Bella, you did a wonderful job presenting that today. So thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much.
I have 2 questions. A, how did you recruit? And how do you protect individuals' confidentiality?
Oh, you mean the participants in my usability evaluation?
Well, I just realized that yes, an insurance company is involved. And some of us at senior college have sort of like, okay, we don't want to be monitored. Is that going to affect information about us, our health, towards maybe being covered?
Do you mind, Bella, if I jump on this one? Okay, so as Bella said, she recruited people, and they were existing researchers mostly they were working with and members of their labs. In terms of the studies we're carrying out, we're mostly relying on our partners. So we have a sort of a number of different psychologists, and mostly psychologists actually, who are using our games in China and Japan and Canada at the moment. And so they would do their normal studies, and they would use our brain tagger games as outcome measures, or as to quantify cognitive ability or executive functions. And an example would be people doing a study of autism or ADHD, and they wanted to keep track of cognitive ability in their population, so they'd use our games. And then we'd have a data sharing agreement where we make the games available for free, but then they give us their data. So I guess the question is, Margot, like what's our data security? What's our privacy and so on. And the way we work it is it's on a server in Amazon, a cloud server. It's a secure server. It's password protected and encrypted data and so on. And we don't store the people's names. We give them arbitrary IDs. So we have no way of knowing who the people are, and that they can't be re-identified. So that's kind of what we do. But in this game where we're trying to validate psychometrics measures, having a normative sample of thousands of people is hugely important. So we have to build that. It's going to take us a few years, I think, but none of our competitors will have this. So we think this is will be a major step forward, although it's obviously a lot of work. A lot of work that nobody else has bothered to do, by the way.
And I think just from the insurance perspective, it's a really great comment. HIROC is not an insurer of life for people. We're actually a reciprocal, meaning that we're made up of the hospitals within Canada and some others, and that we're all working together to create the safest system possible. So not the traditional view of insurers. So we're really a safety company that's focused on trying to create the best healthcare system in Canada.
And Trevor's actually building a human factors team. So he keeps stealing good young human factors people from various organizations and taking them over.
Fantastic. So are there any other comments, suggestions, elaborations?
I was curious about where Wei Jia Tan is from. I'm looking at the name on the screen.
Hi, I'm a PhD candidate at Faculty of Social Work from U of T. So I just want to ask a question regarding the evaluation, because I remember, Bella, you mentioned in your presentation the evaluation process is underway. So if the evaluation means to evaluate the platform, or to validate the games?
Oh, sorry, the evaluation is done. That's why I presented the findings in the last slides. The software development of my design is underway. So we are translating this design into a real functional product.
Okay.
And once we have that functional product, it'll be used to run many studies which will help us to validate the games. I mean, we do have some pretty good validation results so far. Like we correlate about 0.6 with the MMSE, the mini mental state examination. And we correlate most strongly with the orientation to time, which is associated with cognitive decline. So we feel that we already, are, I think that's a response inhibition version of our game. So I think we already have some pretty good evidence that you could use us now as a useful measure of cognitive ability in places like long-term care. Having said that, places like long-term care are extremely conservative, and they're more likely to go with one of our competitors who have better, shinier brochures and people with suits, that they can talk to.
Okay, because for myself, I also participate in a project which is conducted by one of the our social work professors, as we know, Dr. Tam. He has developed a practice model, and one of the which is SSLD, stands for Strategy, Skills, and Learning and Development. And one of the projects under the model is called PID, which is Play Intervention for Dementia. So we also simply we do games with older adults with dementia, but we are not doing the digital games, but just the offline in-person games. And so we have run that project in one of the long-term care facility for Chinese community in Toronto.
Is that Monxiong or Yigong?
Yihong.
Yeah. Yigong is one of our clients. They actually built
Okay.
kind of our exagaming equipment pieces.
Yeah, because we also run that PID project at eHome for years, and now we are also hope to do some evaluation studies on that project. We conducted several what's it called, like the oh my god, like RCT,
Yes.
the randomized control experiments, but in like small scale. So we are considering to do some large scale RCTs. So I just hope to hear about like your opinions, your experience, if you like do the similar evaluation.
Yeah, so one thing is, I guess you're working with Mabel Ho.
Yeah, I know Mabel.
Professor Tan. Yeah. She was my first contact into Yigong, and we got our project through her.
He's my doctoral student, actually. So.
Yeah. She told me she was doing a PhD. So yeah, it's a very small world.
Yeah.
So don't screw up, because it'll affect a lot of your friends. Anyway, yeah, RCTs. I guess we're taking a different approach. We're using a kind of a big data approach, where we develop methods and then we show how they impact a whole lot of other things, and we use sort of like statistical controls and machine learning and so on. There's nothing wrong with RCTs. The trouble with RCTs is you can only test one thing at a time. So in a complex multivariate situation, it's really hard to know what's going on. Because, I mean, I'll give you an example. They have drugs which reduce blood pressure.
Right.
So they sit there, they reduce blood pressure, and then for some reason more people die, right? And the reason is because while they're reducing blood pressure, they're affecting something else at the same time. Actually, I don't think it was blood pressure. It might have been reduction in cholesterol. I'm thinking of Lipitor in the old days. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we feel like challenging when we want to do like large scale RCT, because there are too many like external factors we can't control, and it's hard to like measure. So what we did so far like are more like qualitative research, like evaluations. Like we recorded the like the game session, like every session, and we do some like observation and videotape